In the winter of 2020, when the world felt smaller and lonelier than ever, a truck driver named Chen was assigned to transport emergency medical supplies from eastern China to the north. The journey was long, nearly 1,000 miles. The roads were quiet, the highways were guarded, and snow was falling like a curtain drawn across the sky. Chen had no wife waiting at home, no children calling him dad. He was 45 years old and alone in the world, or so he believed. What he didn't know was that this trip would bring him back to the very first home he ever knew. By the time Chen reached the northern provinces, the snowfall had turned violent. Huge flakes crashed against his windshield. The wipers squeaked rhythmically, fighting the white blur. He kept driving, slowly, steadily, carefully. But eventually the highway was closed. Snow buried the asphalt. The truck could go no further. Chen looked at the clock. The supplies in his truck were needed. People were waiting. Time felt heavier than the snow. He turned onto smaller roads. The storm followed him. Hours passed. He hadn't eaten all day. When night fell, the cold cut through his coat. The roadside restaurants were shut. Pandemic restrictions, early closures, locked doors everywhere. His stomach growled so loudly it almost embarrassed him. And so, with snow whipping against his face, Chen walked toward a dimly lit apartment building. He hesitated, then he knocked. Footsteps shuffled inside. A woman's voice called out, "Coming." The door opened. An elderly woman stood there, surprised by the unfamiliar face. Chen bowed slightly and explained he was a truck driver stranded in the snow, unable to find food. He showed his identification, apologizing for disturbing her so late. The woman studied him for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. "Come in," she said softly. "It's too cold out there." That small sentence felt warmer than any heater. She led him inside. The apartment was modest. Simple furniture, no decorations of wealth, just a home shaped by time and endurance. "Sit, I'll cook you something." She tied on her apron and moved into the kitchen. What she began to make was a humble northern dish called garlic shredded noodles, thin, hand-cut wheat noodles tossed with fragrant garlic oil. This dish has deep roots in northern Chinese home cooking. It is not a banquet dish. It is not a festival delicacy. It is what mothers make on cold nights. She boiled water in a heavy metal pot. Fresh wheat noodles went in, soft but resilient like silk ribbons. In a separate pan, she heated oil until it shimmered. Then came the garlic, sliced into fine threads. When the garlic hit the hot oil, the sound was immediate. Shh! The aroma exploded into the small kitchen, sharp, nutty, comforting. She added a splash of soy sauce, a pinch of salt, perhaps a dash of vinegar for brightness. The noodles were drained and tossed into the fragrant oil. Steam rose like a ghost of memory. She carried the bowl out carefully. Chen didn't wait. The noodles were almost too hot, but he lifted them with chopsticks and slurped. The flavor hit him. Garlic, warm, slightly sweet from caramelization. Wheat, earthy and grounding. Soy, deep and salty. It wasn't complex, it was honest, and suddenly he froze. This taste. He hadn't tasted it in 40 years. Before he was 5 years old, before he was stolen from his family by traffickers, before he forgot the shape of his childhood home. His mother used to make this exact dish. Garlic shredded noodles. It was one of the few clear fragments in his fading memory. Chen lowered his chopsticks. Tears fell into the bowl. The old woman noticed. "Why are you crying?" she asked gently. He told her. He told her about being taken at 5, about never seeing his parents again, about forgetting their faces, about being raised elsewhere, about growing up alone. He told her how this bowl of noodles tasted like the only piece of childhood he could still remember. The woman's hands began to tremble. She whispered a name. Little Stone? Chen looked up sharply. That was his childhood nickname. No one had called him that since he was 5. The room felt suddenly very small. She asked another question. Do you have a blue birthmark on your stomach? His breath stopped. Yes. The bowl of noodles sat between them, steam rising quietly as 40 years collapsed into one heartbeat. She began to cry. So did he. Mother and son embraced in a room that smelled of garlic and snow. For decades, she had searched across the country, posted missing child notices, spent savings, lost her husband before he could see his son again. Eventually, she stopped searching physically. Age had slowed her, but she never stopped waiting. And on a stormy night, when a hungry truck driver knocked on the only door with a light on, fate answered. Later, DNA tests would confirm what their hearts already knew. But in that moment, it wasn't science. It was taste. Food carries memory differently than photographs. It bypasses reason. It speaks directly to the nervous system. For immigrants, travelers, the homesick, and the sleepless, a flavor can reopen a forgotten world. That bowl of garlic noodles was not gourmet. It was not expensive, but it was the key that unlocked 40 years of silence. Chen wanted to stay, but the truck still carried medical supplies for people waiting in quarantine. He wiped his tears, hugged his mother, and promised, I'll come back after I deliver these. He drove through the storm again, but this time he was not alone in the world. He had a mother waiting. When he returned, he brought official DNA results. Black ink on white paper confirmed their bond. But truthfully, it had already been written in garlic oil. Now, every time he visits, she makes the same noodles, and she calls him Little Stone. In her kitchen, he can be 5 years old again. Kindness opens doors. Food carries memory, and sometimes destiny arrives disguised as hunger. If Chen had not knocked, if she had not answered, if she had not chosen to cook, this reunion would not have happened. So perhaps goodness is not mystical at all. Perhaps it is simply one warm bowl of noodles shared in the snow. Sleep gently tonight. Somewhere in the world, a mother is still waiting.